If you're a MSTY fan, then this episode is for you. We're going to revisit the MSTY and winter forecasting model to see if our insights about forecasting the future of winter and winter using different Bitcoin scenarios held out true, or what insights we can gather through reviewing what has actually happened versus what we could have predicted. So let's dive in. Finance Bro University, the new paradigm of finance. We're going to master the old rules and then break them. So to recap, we discussed MSTY and Winter as products that were covered call option products on the Microstrategy product, also known as strategy, right? And we had identified that MSTY was the long covered call version and Winter was the short covered call version. And while you couldn't hold 50-50 portfolios in order to guarantee income, you would need to switch between the two at the right time in order to maximize your return premium based on whether you were bullish MicroStrategy or whether you were bearish MicroStrategy. And that was a strategy that we needed to incorporate into making sure that our returns were sustainable over the long run, given the volatility of MicroStrategy. So you may remember that we did some forecasting. We built some models of MSTY and Winter, and we forecasted their prices under different scenarios of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin hit a 200K and then goes into a bear market. Bitcoin hits 500K and then goes into a bear market. BTC continues this general climb that we've seen, and the 4-year cycle doesn't seem to be a thing anymore, as well as Bitcoin hits 200K and then goes into a bear market using a 2021 style price action, and then Bitcoin hits 500K and then goes into a bear market using the 2021 style price action to see what would happen. And what we saw was, under most scenarios, MSTY went to low dollars. So MSTY, for example, in these examples, closed at $8, it closed at $20 here, and it closed at $19 in scenario 3, which means that basically you had to have Bitcoin hit 500K, or you had to have this general cycle continue in order for returns to remain sustainable for MSTY. But things have kind of taken a bit of a turn, and things aren't looking great for MSTY right now. I think we're trading at like $12 or not even. Now, we did talk about this important aspect of MSTY, which was that it was a derivative of Bitcoin, which is a derivative of MicroStrategy, and then MSTY was built on top of that. And when we had these big price rises, so for example, MicroStrategy has a 311% gain and then a 50% drawdown, you would wear only a tiny portion, or like about half of that upside on MSTY, but you would then wear all of the downside over the same time period, while Bitcoin would have a much more stable price action. And this slide we presented back in like late July, early August. Now, what I was sort of trying to warn you guys is that Bitcoin, or MSTY, is a momentum play on MicroStrategy, but MicroStrategy is a momentum play on Bitcoin. And what's really interesting is we can see that if we update this graph to the more recent data. So here is Bitcoin. Now, if we see Bitcoin over the last 3 months, since Bitcoin has, sort of plateaued out, if we could broadly say that Bitcoin's price hasn't really changed much. It's been trading in this channel here, and it's broadly flat. It's sort of a flat price for Bitcoin over the last 3 months. But what we've seen for MicroStrategy is this decline. And that is because MicroStrategy relies on positive bullish momentum in Bitcoin in order for its price to be maintained. And I discussed the reason for that is that MicroStrategy is built on this idea of accumulating more Bitcoin per share. And if it has more Bitcoin per share baked into its future when Bitcoin's price is going up, MicroStrategy's balance sheet is getting stronger, they can issue more debt and they can accumulate more Bitcoin, then MicroStrategy will go up. Now, when Bitcoin's going down, MicroStrategy's balance sheet is getting weaker. They lack the ability to go and build more Bitcoin. And so that discounted Bitcoin cash flow, if you will, basically collapses, and MicroStrategy's price isn't able to support its valuation, and that MNAV, or that multiple of its net asset value, declines. And so that is what we've seen. Now, the problem with that is that MSTY is exposed to this price action, not the Bitcoin price action. So MSTY has been going down and down and down and down and down, and has been trailing down through what has been essentially a flat period in Bitcoin, while Winter has sort of broadly maintained its price because it happens to be the inverse of this downwards pressure, right? It's the inverse. So if you're bearish on MicroStrategy, Winter's holding its value, and that's Winter's kind of doing its job in that sense. And so this is why we need to be really careful about how we invest in MSTY, and balancing into MSTY and Winter are really, really powerful for maintaining the value of your portfolio. And I really do want to maybe revisit this MSTY Winter rebalancing tool at a later date or like in the next couple months when I do have some time, because I see the pain that you guys are going through and I really do want to help out. But I would really recommend that you need to think about how to rebalance Misty and Winter in order for this play to be a sustainable income play. So let's think about what would have our model predicted given these price actions. So here is Bitcoin's price over this last, since the middle of August, September, October. And we can say again, it's broadly flat. We started around 120, we peaked up to 120 again, and now we're back in that sort of channel of 110,000. And this goes to the 14th of October. So it doesn't have the most recent dip. So we would be actually trading around here right now. But things have been broadly trading in this horizontal channel. And we would have predicted using the orange line here, the MicroStrategy price on the right-hand side. And so we actually would have predicted a higher price for MicroStrategy than what has actually occurred. The green line is the actual MicroStrategy price. And you can see that it has declined much further down. And we would have set it not far off $400 a share for MicroStrategy, and I think we're at 300 now. And I think if the latest data, I think we're at 289 at the issuance of this video, and that's why I don't have that last 3-4 days of data. So why is the price of MicroStrategy down from what we would have predicted in our model? And the same goes for Misty, right? Misty's price, I would have predicted that Misty's price would be sitting at around $17, $18 just prior to this dip. So maybe after this dip, maybe like $15, but we're trading at like $11.86 or something like that. So why is Misty's price a lot lower? So MicroStrategy and Misty are far below our predicted model prices. And the question we have to ask is why? I think the reality is that we are late in the Bitcoin cycle, right? Now, if we look at the previous Bitcoin cycle, here we've got the MicroStrategy price up through here. And in the blue line, we've got the Bitcoin price according to the Coinbase exchange. Now, what we can see is we get the strong spike in MicroStrategy up at the beginning, at the first part of the bull market. Now, the reason for that is Bitcoin's price is appreciating rapidly, and we have a strengthening balance sheet on MicroStrategy, right? The MicroStrategy's balance sheet is getting stronger. They can issue more debt and they can accumulate more Bitcoin. So it creates this positive momentum. And no one's really sure at the beginning of the bull market how high this could go, right? Predictions back in 2021 is we were going to go to $100,000, $200,000 a coin. And we've had to wait till this cycle to hit the lower end of the $100,000 a coin mark, right? So what we've had is MicroStrategy then peel off, and then we've come back up and we've had that second bull run in Bitcoin where we hit a new all-time high. It wasn't a very strong all-time high, but we can see that MicroStrategy's price never recovered to that initial spike because we were late in the bull cycle. People had seen what the bull cycle was beginning to realize, and they weren't able to, essentially discount those future accumulations of Bitcoin into the future as strongly as that they were then, and so the price is relaxed. And then we've come into the bear market, and obviously MicroStrategy's had a pretty tough time. 2023 was, excuse me, an incredibly cheap time to buy MicroStrategy. That's when I got most of my stuff in. And then we've subsequently gone up into this bull cycle, and we've had these two spikes here in the early bull cycle, right? And these early bull cycle, we had a spike and then a spike, and then now we're trading at higher prices, but we haven't had the same spike because we know that we're later in the bull cycle. These ones, we weren't too sure where things were going at this stage. Bitcoin's price could have gone a lot higher, and MicroStrategy's ability to continue accumulating would have been more and more stronger. Whereas now we're getting into that late cycle. I think we're only within a few days of when the normal cycle would be due to end. And so we've gone up to new all-time highs, but MicroStrategy's price has come down because that ability to accumulate Bitcoin in the future is weak right now. And so we're going to have to wait for a substantial turnaround of the Bitcoin market, which may happen now, or we may have to go into a period a period of depression, or a period of depressed prices while we work out some sort of mini bear market. I don't think we're going to have the same sort of strength of bear market that we've had previously because we just haven't had the same highs. But we could go down, and then we could find ourselves, going up at a later date, and we may find MicroStrategy going up maybe in 15 months' time or something like that once this sort of bear market has played out. But for now, I'd say we're late in the bull cycle, and MicroStrategy's price is getting smashed because of that, and of course Misty's price is getting the same treatment. And so Winter especially if we come into this bear market and it does lock in as a bear market. Winter's probably going to be a better place to hold your money. But again, I don't provide financial advice. You're going to have to make your own decisions. But I hope this is helpful. I hope this gives you something to think about. My usual disclaimer, this channel does not provide financial advice or any advice of any kind. You must do your own research. Any investment or trading decisions you make are your own. This is entertainment only. You are listening to a random mangosteen on the internet. Once again, thanks for listening. You can find me on X, YouTube, or my website, mangosteen.global. If you want to understand a little bit more about the products that I offer, you can check out the website. Otherwise, my X handle's changed a little bit, Mangosteen TRD. If you did follow me, you're going to have to follow me on Mangosteen TRD from now on. Awesome. Thanks, guys. All the best.